What's up, guys? It's your boy Justin here for a new video. Today we're doing a top 10 of my favorite JRPGs. Somebody asked me the other day what are my favorite JRPGs, and I'm like, why don't I just do it in a video, right? So yeah, sorry if I sound a little low energy. It's like Sunday night. Yeah. So number 10 is one of my favorite games that I've never beaten because the game the game was too smart for me when I was a kid, and it's still too smart for me. The upgrade system or whatever, I don't know, man. The battle system, just I just don't get it. Okay, just goes right over my head. And number 10 is Final Fantasy VIII for the PlayStation 1, which was the first JRPG I've ever played and what got me into JRPGs in the first place, right? Yeah. So the furthest I ever got into the game was the fourth disc. I got to the point where I was probably really close to beating the game, but there's a point in the game where you can't cheese the game with the GFs, with the summons, and that you have to defeat a boss with your character's own strength. So it's like, holy crap! I didn't know that you have to set up like the junction system to level up your stats, which I have no idea how the hell you're supposed to do that. So your characters can be super strong to, defeat a boss without spamming the GFs. So that's why I never beat the game, right? Which sucks, but it is what it is. Still one of my favorite JRPGs of all time, and hopefully one day maybe I'll find a strategy guide or something. Oh my god, yeah. So number 9 is Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. I never played the original version of the Chrono Trigger on the Super Nintendo. I played the PlayStation 1 port that came with Final Fantasy IV, and I played the DS version, which the DS version was actually the one I beat. I played the game to completion, right? Which, for people who don't know what Chrono Trigger was, it was like I don't know. It's like it's like the game where, aside from Dragon Quest, it was like the first game I've ever seen Toriyama's art style in, besides from Dragon Ball. So it was like, holy crap, man! It's like a Dragon Ball, but it was like if it was a JRPG, right? And the anime opening was fantastic. They should have made a Chrono Trigger anime, man. That would have been the best, right? And like whenever I'm in the mood to play Super Nintendo games, man, Super Nintendo RPGs, I want to play Chrono Trigger, man. Chrono Trigger is the best, dude. All right, between the characters, the pixel art's great, the music's great, everything about the game's great. Except for the point where, like, at some point you're probably gonna need to look up a strategy guide because the game gets open-ended. Doesn't have like a linear path, and you have to go to different like time zones. Like the game has time travel, right? But other than that, great game. They should have made a remake, which I think I watched a video that some guy was making a 3D remake. I don't know if he ever finished the game. The game looks the character models look a little weird, but overall it looks great. Honestly, and Square, whoever needs to make a remake of this game, right? Hopefully in a single disc, and not do what the hell they're doing with Final Fantasy VII. Okay, number 8 is Digimon World 3 for PlayStation 1. If you haven't seen my review for that game, I love the game. I put over like 200 hours in the game, right? Fantastic game, and I wish that Digimon still had the aesthetic that game had, like the original like art style with Akiyoshi Hongo and his like, not just like his characters, but like how the fashion and everything, the aesthetic of the Digimon world, like the game is peak, like, you know, aesthetically beautiful, and the sprites look good, and then the 3D models look great in my opinion, right? For the actual battle scenes, and it's one of those games where it's like, it's like the closest, besides from the fan games, where it's like Digimon. It's the closest Digimon game that feels like a Pokemon game, but it has like way better story and gameplay than any Pokemon game I ever played, in my opinion, right? Though the game does get hard at the end of the game, but if you have like Omnimon, you can win no problem, right? Which, and Omnimon's not even that hard to get, right? So yeah, awesome game, love it. If I had any, if my only problem with the game is that I wish, like, it feels like a waste of time trying to get all the partner Digimon when pretty much every Digimon can digivolve into like the Digivolutions of the other partner Digimon, though you won't have their rookie form, right? So it feels like a little pointless to get them all, which is, it's not like it's super hard to get all the partner Digimon, but you know, it's you know, you need to make sure you're at a certain level, you have a certain level cap, right, before you can pick them all up. So it's like you need to get them all while you're playing the game. It's not something you can leave till like the end of the game, right? Or you would be screwed, right? Which there's only, I think, 8 partner Digimon, right? And you start off with 3, right? And I think you can get one like right away at the beginning of the game. I could be wrong though. But yeah, that awesome Digimon World 3 is awesome, and was one of the few games where I paid a lot of money and still highly enjoyed it. Usually, you know, if I pay a lot of money for a game, most of the time I feel ripped off. But there, it's like, oh man, it was worth it. It was worth the. I don't even remember how much I fucking paid for the game. It was a lot of money though. I think it was like around 200. I could be wrong. But yeah, great game. Number 7 is another PlayStation 1 game, and that's Tsukudan II, which is another game where I spent a shitload of money on. And unlike with Digimon World 3, which took me like, what, 200 hours? I don't even fucking remember. This is a shorter game, but man, the game was awesome despite the fact that, you know, the game was a little short. I think it only took me like 40 hours to beat, but fantastic game. It has not a lot of games with the Chinese, like, wuxia aesthetic, right? And the story was awesome, and there's lots of characters. If you're not a fan of the characters that have the Chinese aesthetic, there are like characters that, like, you know, that are more like Western Knights or like Musketeers, stuff like. There's a character in the game who I'm convinced is supposed to be Guts. But it's Guts in his like assassin outfit in the Golden Age arc, right? But they made him but they gave him a red outfit, but it's like basically Guts. Oh my god! So great game, love it. Okay, number 6 is Persona 3, which was the first SMT game I ever played. And I got that game when I was 17, and really I didn't beat it at 17. Obviously, I beat it way later. I think I beat it like in the last 3 years or some shit during the pandemic, right? Because like I had a lot of free time on my hands. And yeah, it's a great fucking game. Is it as good as 4? Probably not, but I still like the game. And for the people who are like, oh, should I get the remaster? Fuck off, get the original, because the remaster, the remaster sucks from like, so you can't even move around. It's like you get teleported to fucking different places and shit. Yeah, so fuck that. And yeah, Persona 3, great fucking game. Alright. Okay, now number 5. You know, I felt like I had to put, you know, the Dragon Quest game here, but like this Dragon Quest It's Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King, which is the first Dragon Quest game I ever played. And I loved the fucking game so much that for the longest time, it was like one of the first games where it's like I ever played JRPGs where I played, where it's like, wow, you equip. Not only do you equip new weapons, but you can equip shields and shit. So I thought that was really cool. And, I like the game so much that when I was overseas in Europe, I spent a lot of fucking money on a copy of Dragon Quest VIII, because I originally rented the game the first time I played it, and bought a copy overseas only for me, which I played in my cousin's PS2 over there, only for me to take it home and not able to fucking play the fucking game because it was like the European copy. And I was told back home, like, oh, there's a thing you can buy that lets you, that you can put on your PS2 so you can play like the different region PlayStation 2 games. But over here, nobody fucking had it. I went to EB Games, fucking Best Buy, all the electronic stores. Nobody had it, so it wasn't until like years later, like, when I got into the retro gaming hobby, right, started going to flea market and stuff, that I, and retro game stores, that I get a new copy of Dragon Quest VIII, and actually went, got to play the game again, only for me to get fucking stuck in the game, because that game's not easy at times, man. But I did finally beat it, like, I think last 2 years, and did a review for it on the channel. Yeah. Okay. Next, number 4 is Lad The Twilight Spirits for the PS2. Love this fucking game. Another game that, I played in high school that actually I might have been before high school. I might have been grade 8, grade 7, which my friend had it first. Right, I borrowed it from him, and great fucking game, dude. The story is fantastic. Like, it's very much especially at the time when I played this game around the time that Inuyasha was on TV, and the game was pretty much like, it felt like Inuyasha, but if Inuyasha took place in like a post-apocalyptic fantasy world, right, where you have the conflict between Deimos and the humans, and the two main characters are brothers who one looks more human. They're both half human, half Deimos, but one looks more human and wants to fight for the humans in the Deimos versus humans conflict, and the other brother is more Deimos-esque and wants to fight for the side of the Deimos, only for them to be put in this struggle where they have to team up together to save the world, right, and put aside their differences, right, for the girl that they both love. Right, so awesome fucking game. Fuck the haters who say this game sucks. Which, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I like the PS1 Lad games, but come on, Lad 2 Twilight Spirits, is not only is it aesthetically way better, but the story is way better, and the game is a lot easier than the other fucking Lad games for the PS1. Though the first PS1, sorry, there were 3. There was like 4 if you count the spin-off game, but there was 3 mainline Lad games, and the first one was easy, but super short. One, the second one takes like almost 100 hours to beat, and then the final boss is like super hard. That you can only beat if you fucked around with your character skill sets, which you can only do at like a certain old witch's fucking cave. That's very fucking, that if you didn't pay attention to where it was on the map, good luck fucking finding it, because like the fucking game is huge, right? But but like yeah, and I still haven't beaten the third game, which I plan on at some point, right? But the problem with the original Arc the Lad games for the PS1 is that they all look alike, right? So at least with Arc the Lad 2, they updated the graphics, you know, and the story was grand, right? In my opinion, yeah. So I love Arc the Lad, Arc the Lad Twilight Spirits, great game, and a lot of people shit on the sequel, which went for more. It went from being a strategy RPG to being by the way, Arc the Lad Twilight Spirits is a strategy RPG, but you can still like explore places. It's not like with the Fire Emblem games where you can you go to different points on the map. Your characters can't run around and shit. Run around in towns and shit. So it's like it's a strategy RPG, but it has more like a turn-based RPG, like Overworld, if you know what I mean, right? Where you can actually run around, explore shit, explore dungeons, right? So yeah, like Twilight Spirits, it's probably my favorite strategy RPG, to be honest, right? Okay, next, number 3. I couldn't pick one game in the DotHack series, so I picked both DotHack. DotHack in general is my favorite for number 3. I love both the original games for the original 4 games and the sequels for the GU. The first, though, like honestly, the first I played the first one, and then it wasn't till like years later, like in high school, still in high school, where I got to play the GU ones, and the GU ones were the ones I'm more familiar with, but I did eventually go back and hunt down and get all the original, like, you know, the first 4 games in the original DotHack series, which there was a sequel series with GU, right? But like, but yeah, what I like about the DotHack games, one, it simulates an MMO. It has the cool. Not only is the MMO game cool, right, with its beautiful art style, mythology, right, but it was also part of an anime series. So it's like you watch the anime, you learn more about the world and characters and stuff. That was fucking cool. And yeah, and it's like one of the few like cyberpunk JRPG franchises, though it takes place in an MMO, there's still cyberpunk elements, right? Especially with the animes, right? And more specific, the Luminality OVA series, which only makes 100% sense if you watch those while playing the first 4 games, right? But yeah, but the GU games are just as great, right? Though the DotHack Roots never finished that series, honestly, because they changed Hiseo's. Not only do you not have Hiseo's voice actor, which is Yurin Lowenthal, but they changed his look, so he looks nothing like he does in the fucking games. I was like, what the fuck was that about? But yeah, I'm gonna watch DotHack Roots at some point. But yeah, I love the DotHack games. So that's number 3. Number 2 is Final Fantasy 12. Right. Again, I love open world JRPGs that have that MMO feel to them. And not only does it have that, but the original Final Fantasy 12, which I first played on the demo that came with Dragon Quest VIII, if I remember correctly. Right, I think it was the original Dragon Quest VIII came with a demo for Final Fantasy 12, and yeah, it's one of the few games where I put over 100 hours, and still love the game. Though there's some bullshit. There is some bullshit with the game, but overall, it's a great game. And yeah, it's that game. It's the one game where it's like, I love the opening so much that I'll just say fuck it, and I'll just, you know, randomly in a weekend, I'll just like, oh, I want to replay the first 6 hours of the Final Fantasy 12, right? It's just because the opening is just the first, like, you know, act of the game is just so fucking fun, right? Yeah. And I just love Final Fantasy 12. I wish they made more games like it. Though the new Final Fantasy game does aesthetically kind of look more like Final Fantasy 12, but honestly, I have no interest really playing it because it's just like it just looks like they're ripping off the Witcher 3. It's Witcher 3 more specifically, and it's like, yeah, fuck that. I'll play Final Fantasy 12 again. So yeah, and number one for my top 10 favorite JRPGs is the Xenosaga games, which I just recently watched the anime, and I'm like, oh my god, just so much nostalgia, just all the fucking memories from playing those games just came back, man, which is like, oh my god, right? Which I didn't beat those games until I was like 18 or 19, because it's like those games were fucking hard as a kid, and it was like that was back when I first played those games. That was back when I played JRPGs for the cutscenes, so I didn't really like the grind, so I would constantly get stuck in the fucking game. Because back then, it's like, back then. I didn't have like a computer where I could just listen to podcasts and watch YouTube videos while I can grind, right? I was only allowed to be either on the computer or on the TV. I couldn't be on both, right? So it's like, holy fuck. So grinding, you didn't really, I didn't really grind a lot back then. You know what I mean? But yeah, I love that game because not only did it have the weird mystery, the blood, but it's like it was one of the first JRPGs I ever played where your characters could get in and control mechs, right? And as somebody who grew up with a lot of the Gundam animes, who loved mecha animes in general, it's like, holy shit, finally we get a fucking JRPG where you can get in a fucking mech. Because back then, we didn't really have the Super Robot War games, or you did for the Game Boy, but Game Boy Advance, but I didn't really have those games, right? Most of the Game Boy Advance RPGs I had were either Mega Man Battle Network or Pokemon, and that was it. Or not? Well, that's not true. I had like the Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament and the Castlevania Shaman King games, which were kind of RPGs, right? But yeah, I just love the Xenosaga games, man. They are the best, and they're arguably still the best sci-fi JRPGs of all time, to the point where when I first got into the Star Ocean games, I kind of fucking hated them, because I'm like, why the fuck isn't this like this shit should be more like the fucking Xenosaga games, not just like, oh, let's just put in a fantasy we'll just go to a planet that looks like a fucking fantasy world. What the fuck? Which that wasn't the case with the first Star Ocean game I played, which was the third one. The fourth one, Till the End of Time or some shit. Not Till the End of Time. The Last Hope. Or that one had like a sci-fi aesthetic, but what put me off the game is the characters had big heads that were way too big for their fucking bodies. Which, like, a lot of Tri-Ace games has that fucking problem. Which even the most recent Star Ocean game had that fucking problem. But yeah, that was my top 10 favorite JRPGs. I also have another top 10 list that I'm going to do called top 10 RPGs that I like but people fucking hate. I still need to come up with a title for that, but yeah. Maybe we'll do that next week. And hopefully I finished Trails of Cold Steel 2, and we'll have a review up for that, so I can get on to the next game, which I haven't decided what the next game will be. I'm thinking either Xenogears for PlayStation 1 or Xenoblade 1, which I finally got a fucking Wiimote. It was $40 when if I had went to the other retro gaming store, which not even really a retro gaming store, they sell like basically everything, but they also have retro gaming stuff. I would have got it for like $20 fucking cheaper, but it probably wouldn't have had the Motion Plus, which for people who don't know, the Motion Plus greatly improved the motion controls, right? Which is probably why I never really had the problems that a lot of people had with the Wii, because I had the Motion Plus, which was way better, right? So yeah, we're gonna, if my Trails of Cold Steel 2 review gets 50 views, maybe we'll do a poll, and you guys can decide between either Xenogears or Xenoblade. All right, guys, peace.